On channel NCERT e-teaching. I am Dr. Kailash Meena, going to discuss about chapter number 10 of class 8 science, which is reaching the age of adolescence. So by seeing the images you can assume that what age we are considering for the adolescence, because I have included many children of the age group. So let's start our chapter and see. So first thing, in this chapter we will discuss these many concepts. So if you compare with previous chapters, there are lot of concepts in this chapter. They are easy and interesting. So first thing, adolescence and puberty. We will learn about what is adolescence and what is puberty. In very brief, I can say that from class 6 to 12th, the students or the children who are studying in class 6 to 12th all are in the age group of adolescence. Okay. And from class 6 to 8, and we are able to differentiate boys and girls because of some physical changes, bodily changes. That time is called as puberty. We will discuss in the upcoming slides. Next thing, changes at puberty. So as I have said that in puberty we see some changes, some bodily changes, some emotional changes. Okay, changes at every level. Those changes are called changes at puberty. So what changes we see? Increase in height, change in body shape, voice change, increased activity of sweat and sebaceous glands. Sweat means, and sebaceous oil glands, and the sweat, or in Hindi we call pasina. So though we have some glands for those also in our skin, but they are tiny, microscopic. That is why we are not able to see them. Development of sex organs, reaching mental, intellectual and emotional maturity. These are some changes we see at the time of puberty. Then we will talk about secondary sexual characters. What are secondary sexual characters? In our previous chapter we learnt about, in chapter number 9, we have learnt about sexual reproduction in animals or human beings. So you can refer to my previous video also. I have provided a link in the description, and you can check out the playlist for class 8 science also for that. So when it comes to reproduction in human beings, when it comes to two parents, because sexual reproduction means two parents, involvement of two parents, so we can easily discriminate which parent is male and which parent is female. So the characters who defines a male and female, differentiate them, are called secondary sexual characters. So we will talk about those characters also. Role of hormones in initiating reproductive function. Okay, role of hormones. As I have mentioned earlier also, we have some glands in our body in my previous chapter. So actually there are some chemical messengers, you can say. We have some chemicals in our body, they control and coordinate our bodily systems. So because we know that our body is huge, if you compare with small creatures, or if you compare with single cellular creatures which are microscopic. So to coordinate in the body, because our body must function in a coordinated way. So a hand must know what is going on in head, and head must know what is going on in stomach. So who conveys the message? There are some chemical messengers which are called hormones. We will learn about them also. Reproductive phase of life in humans. Okay. So if we talk about humans and animals, not every creature have the ability of reproduction at every point of his or her life, okay, or its life. So there is a well defined reproductive phase in human females, and to some extent in human males also. So we will learn about that phase also. How is the sex of the baby determined, boy or girl? So in our previous chapter of class 8 science, we have learned about reproduction in human beings. So we learned how male and female parents produce male and female gametes, which are called sperms and eggs. How they fuse means fertilize, and how they develop into a child. This thing we have learned, but we didn't learn what that child is going to be, what the child is going to become, a male or a female. So who decides that this zygote will become a male, or this zygote will become a female? So we will learn about this point also in this chapter. Hormones other than sex hormones. So in our previous chapter, what we have learned that testicles in human male reproductive system makes sperms, but they are not only making sperms, they also release some chemicals which are called hormones. They are very essential for reproductive function. In the same way, ovaries in female reproductive system, they make eggs or ova. They also produce some chemicals which are called female hormone, and again those chemicals or those messengers help in reproduction. And in this chapter we will learn about those hormones also, plus there are other hormones also apart from reproduction, because not only reproduction but other bodily functions also require some coordination. The role of hormones in completing the life history of insects and frogs. Okay, so in our previous chapter we have learned about the life cycle of frog, how the baby frog, or we call the tadpole, is different from the adult frog. This is what we call indirect development. This thing we have learned in previous chapter. And in class 7th science also we have learnt about life cycle of silkworm, if you remember. Eggs, larva, which is called caterpillar there in case of insects, in butterfly, silkworm, then pupa, and then adult. So these things we are aware about. Now we will learn about the hormonal complication. What is the role of hormones, or what is the role of these chemical messengers in the transformation of these creatures. Final thing, reproductive health. So in our previous chapter we have learnt about reproductive system, about reproduction, child development. In this chapter also we will discuss some aspects of that reproduction. Finally we will discuss about reproductive health. When it comes to reproduction, both of the parents, male and female, plus child, this all must be healthy. So if we have that much of knowledge of all aspects about reproductive systems, reproductive structures, then reproductive process, then we must apply that knowledge to keep our body or our society healthy. Okay. And nutrition needs of adolescents, personal hygiene, physical exercise, say no to drugs. These are not new topics for you, I think, because we the students who are studying in class 8, they are already in adolescent age, so you must have experienced some of these things in your life. So okay, we will discuss them one by one. First thing, what is adolescence? You can see here children of our school, they are engaging in various activities, and they are involving in science congress and exhibition. They are there in health checkup school, and they are cleaning the school campus. So adolescents, you can see they are of different ages, from class 6 to 12th. I roughly gave you the idea. Here you can see the exact data from your school, from your NCERT textbook. So 11 years to 19 years. Okay, in previous chapter reproduction, I gave you the rough idea, because there the topic was not adolescence. So what I said, that if you pursue the word teenage, I am sure that you have learned about teenagers, for example teenage. So teenage means this age between 11 to 19, and teenagers means children who are in this age. So you can see the name also, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. But yes, 11 and 12 are slightly different. So in previous chapter I said from 13 to 19 for a rough idea. Okay, in this chapter you can see there is a clear cut age group which is defined, 11 to 19 years. Okay, so we can easily say that okay, from class 6 to 12 all students come into adolescent age. So when the body undergoes changes leading to reproductive maturity, is called adolescence. Now I am sure that we all are clear what do we mean by adolescence. So adolescence means that period of life. Okay, it is a big huge period, but the beginning of that period is called puberty. We will learn. Between the ages of 11 years and 19 years of children are called adolescents. During this period adolescents are called teenagers. So now teenagers and adolescents, same term. Teenagers more common term, and adolescents scientific term. Adolescence is the age period, and now puberty. During adolescence the body undergoes several changes and becomes capable of reproduction. These changes are the beginning of puberty. It means the onset of those changes is called puberty. Next, changes during puberty. So I am sure that you have experienced some of those changes, because you have you are already in that age, you have crossed 2 or 3 years. Okay, so what changes we experience during puberty? Increase in height, change in body shape, voice change. I'm sure that you have noticed the difference between voice of girl and boy. Increase activity of sweat and sebaceous glands. Okay, and because of that you will experience you are feeling more smelly if you do not take bath. So in this age it is very essential that we keep our body clean. Okay, uh, development of sex organs, of course we see, because the aim of this maturity is ultimately reproduction. Reaching mental, intellectual and emotional maturity, this thing you are experiencing. Okay, you will experience till your class 12th or when you will go into college. Okay, so you see there are so many activities these adolescents or these children are engaged in. Sometimes some making some working models, sometimes participating in exhibitions. Okay, sometimes we see these children or students are involved in discussions. Okay, because in this age we learn more with discussions. With whom? The people who are qualified for that discussion. For example, you see here, these are school's principal and school's teacher. So these people are more qualified if we compare with other people who are only there. If other people are only higher in age, but if they have little experience for that or little qualification for that. Okay, so we must choose also for which topic we need discussion with whom. Okay, so we must go to qualified ones for everything. We will discuss this thing also. Next thing, you see here are some adolescent boys. I think they are from 16 to 17 years, and these are some adolescent girls. You can easily see the difference. Okay, plus you this is a boy of class 6 or 7. Okay, so you can see initial adolescence phase and final adolescent phase, and you have I hope that you have noticed many differences, because in our day-to-day life we are experiencing those differences. So I will cover one by one. Then increase in height, definitely you see spectacular difference when it comes to increase in height in this age, which is called teenage. So by the age of 11, a boy reaches about 80% of its height and a girl reaches about 88% of her height. Initially, girls grow faster than boys. By about 18 years of age, both boys and girls reach their maximum height. So you must not be worried. So you see, when you are in class 6, 7th or 8th or 9th or 10th, sometimes you see some boys and girls have reached very good height, and others are increasing their height slowly, but ultimately after 18 years of age, ultimately they will reach their maximum height. So sometimes some people see these changes very fast, then slow, or some people experience slow then fast. Okay, so you will see the changes in boys and girls now. We will learn in our next points. Then if you see the growing of beard or mustache, so you will see difference in that also. Some boys grows their beard in after class 12, some boys grow in class 9, some boys grow in class 11. So it is gradual and it is not defined. So we must not worry about any type of change, because these changes will take place by their own pace, and ultimately we will the target ultimately after 18 or 19 years of age, we will experience all the changes which are required for our body. So change in body shape, you can notice the change in body shape in boys and girls. For example, the broad shoulders in boys, or difference in pelvic region. Voice change, definitely the boys got some hoarse voice and they grow their Adam's apple. What do you mean by Adam's apple? See, if you see this part of your body, the neck, this part is more prominent in boys if you compare with girls. This is also a difference. Okay, we see in adolescence age. You can see in these images also, but these are very small images. Next thing, increased activity of sweat and sebaceous glands. This thing we all notice. If you see your clothes also in your armpits, then you will see more smell, more sweat, or more spots. If you see yellow spots, and if you wearing white clothes, so definitely sweat and sebaceous glands, it means oil glands and sweat glands, increase their activity in teenage. And for voice, when we will learn in sound, there will be a chapter for that sound. Then we will know about the pitch and the frequency of sound. Okay, so there is a difference in boys and girls sound, and we will measure that quantities in our upcoming chapter, which is called sound. Okay, here you can learn that in girls the voice box is smaller and their voice is high pitched. So we will learn what do you mean by pitch. Okay, what do you mean by loudness. Okay, there will be two terms, amplitude and frequency. We will learn in chapter sound, and there we will learn that amplitude is called its loudness and frequency is called its pitch. Okay, so girl's voice is less loud, but it have higher pitch. Development of sex organs, of course, boys and girls both, they develop their sex organs. After this teen age, they are mature enough to reproduce, reaching the age of, this is very important. Okay, so this is an age where we experience so many changes, plus mental, emotional and intellectual development, but we are reaching, we have not reached. So from class 6 to 8 to 9, 10 to 11, 12, we are actually reaching that journey. So it seems when we are in class 9th and 10th or 8th or 11, 12, it seems that okay, we are completely mature from sexually also, mentally also, physically also. So that time sometimes children think or teenagers think they can make decisions for their life, but that is not completely true, because we have not reached that stage. We are reaching that stage, but we of course we will experience so many changes. Okay, and it is very good to learn about those changes. Okay. So I am sure that you have experienced these changes, more independent, self-conscious, and the way of thinking changes. Next thing, secondary sexual characters. Okay, in our NCERT textbook, there are very good cartoons they are using in NCERT books, which are called Boojo and Paheli. And very good questions they are, thought-provoking questions for and related to our syllabus also. For example, Paheli is what Paheli is saying here: I am worried, though I have become taller, my face looks much smaller compared to my body. Paheli and Boojo realized that sudden increase in height and hairy line above the lips in boys were signs of adolescence. They wanted to know more about the other physical changes of puberty. So because these may be our these questions may be our questions, depends on us what type of questions we have in our mind. Okay, so with the help of these cartoons, NCERT is very successful to convey the message. So these are some secondary sexual characters. Secondary sexual characters means those characters which on the basis of those characters we can differentiate boy and girl. So after in the period of adolescence or after the puberty, what changes we see in girls, what changes we see in boys are called their secondary sexual characters, and therefore their sexual maturity and after the teenage, when they are essential for reproduction. So what are those changes? You can see in boys, hairs begins to grow on face, and they develop beards and mustaches. Hair grows in the chest, armpits and pubic region. The testicles or testes starts to produce sperms. In girls, breast develops and hair grows in the armpits and pubic region. The ovaries start to produce eggs. These changes are controlled by chemical substances. Okay, so as I have said earlier, these changes are controlled by chemical substances, and these substances are called hormones produced by endocrine glands. Okay, so we have special organs in our body. Those organs are cluster of cells, those cells can produce those chemicals which are called hormones. So those cluster of cells or those organs are called glands, endocrine glands. Why endocrine? Because they simply produce that chemical and dump that chemical into the blood stream. They do not have any tubes or ducts, and that is why they are also called ductless glands. Okay. So we will learn more about endocrine glands in upcoming slides. But here if we talk about only sexual hormones, then we have two hormones, testosterone in males produced by testes, and estrogen and progesterone. We will have two hormones, progesterone and estrogen, produced by ovary in the female. So males produce only one type of hormone which is called testosterone, and it is responsible for those changes or secondary sexual characters in males. Again, the female hormone which controls secondary sexual characters is called estrogen. It is produced in the ovary. In female, there is one more hormone which is called progesterone that helps in the holding of pregnancy. So actually, estrogen is responsible for secondary sexual characters, and progesterone, it comes later when reproduction is required. The production of these hormones is controlled by another gland which is called pituitary gland. Okay, I will discuss about pituitary gland in. Okay, let's first discuss about those glands, then we will discuss other points. This is a diagram taken as it is from your NCERT. You can see some organs, for example, pituitary gland, thyroid gland. You can see these are kidneys. Above kidney, you can see this green one, adrenal gland, pancreas, accessory gland in digestive system. I am sure that you are familiar with human nutrition or nutrition in animals in class 7th science. The initial chapters were there, and in circulation we learned about kidneys, then ovaries in female and testicles in males. We have discussed these organs in previous chapter, chapter number 9, reproduction in animals. You can again check out if you want from the description below or by checking out the playlist. So these are the glands: pituitary gland, thyroid gland, adrenal gland, testicles and ovary. Now we know that testicles are producing testosterone, ovaries are producing estrogen and progesterone. This thing we know. Then pancreas is producing insulin. Okay, its deficiency causes diabetes. If you remember the previous from your previous class, nutrition in animals, when our body digests food, when our alimentary canal or gut or stomach and intestine digest food, they absorb the food in the form of glucose. I am saying in the oversimplified way. That glucose goes into the blood. From the blood, our body cells are using that glucose, plus remaining glucose our liver stores. I am sure that you all are aware about liver. If you are not, you can recall the second chapter, nutrition in animals, from class 7 science. Again, you can check out my channel, second 7 science list also. I have made some videos for class 7 science also. So the function of liver is to store extra sugar from our blood, but liver will not store that sugar automatically. Pancreas will help. Pancreas, which is an endocrine gland, it will secrete one chemical which is called insulin, or this is a hormone. Insulin will direct or guide the liver to store glucose or sugar from our blood. If there is no insulin, if there is less insulin, if pancreas is not able to make enough or sufficient insulin, then it will not be able to direct liver, and liver will not store the glucose. If liver will not store the extra sugar, that extra sugar will remain in the blood. This is what we call diabetes. Okay, so the deficiency of insulin is called diabetes, but it is not in that much of depth. You will learn more about hormones in class 10th and class 11th. Okay, then talk about adrenal glands. You see these glands on the tip of the kidney. These glands secrete some chemicals or hormones which are called adrenal hormones. And those hormones help us when our body is in stress. Okay, when we want to run, when if we are in case of fight, if we are in case of stress, we are in worry. Okay, you can see fight or flight response. Okay, fight or flight response, that type of response. If you see a sudden accident, if you see sudden accident, okay, some type of emergency, that type you see some nervousness in your body. Okay, there is some different biochemical level in your body you can experience, and after that stress is gone, after that tension is gone, you can feel yourself relaxed and returning to the normal state. So at that time, the chemical secretion from this gland which is called adrenaline helps your body to cope up with that stress level. But that stress level is always not beneficial for us. This chemical is there for our survival, not long time stress is not good for us. So we must not take stress, but we must take action to remove any type of stress. Thyroid gland. This thyroid gland, see, thyroid gland, you can see the position of thyroid gland is near your neck or near your windpipe or food pipe. You can see thyroid gland. This thyroid gland produce one chemical or hormone which is called thyroxine, and it is doing many metabolic functions. Okay, it regulates our metabolic functions. So deficiency of this is called goiter. If you have heard about goiter, goiter is a disease where our neck swells because of the deficiency of thyroid hormone. Okay, goiter is a disease in some areas where there is some nutrition, because of some nutrition deficiency in iodine particular, we see a deficiency of thyroxine hormone produced by thyroid gland. If you have heard the ad of iodine salt in TV, iodine salt is recommended because of the health of thyroid gland. Then it comes pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is here, so you can easily understand that pituitary gland have its location just below the brain. So it is connected with brain and it is called master gland. Why it is called master gland? Because it controls growth and metabolism of our body, plus it secretes many hormones which controls all the glands, okay, including testicles and ovaries. So all glands, for example, thyroid gland is secreting thyroxine hormone, adrenal gland is secreting adrenal hormone, pancreas is secreting insulin, ovaries are secreting estrogen and progesterone, and testes is secreting testosterone. So all these secretions are controlled by pituitary gland. That is why it is also called a master gland. This thing I wanted to discuss here. Here you can see we were discussing only the progesterone, estrogen and testosterone. What is written here? The production of these hormones is controlled by another gland called pituitary gland, which is called master gland. I am sure that this thing is clear to you now. Let's move to the next slide. Okay, again I have included the structure of female reproductive system. You can see easily, and in this structure I have included much information also, although in your NCERT only 3 names are given, which are uterus, oviduct and ovary. You can, if you want to learn more about these parts and their function, you can refer to my previous video. I will suggest you will not be disappointed. So there I have discussed that function also, that ovary produces eggs, egg goes into the fallopian tube or oviduct, and it is the site of fertilization also. Then embryo scroll down and attach with uterus or implants with uterus, and here you can see this small white sphere or circle. This shows the movement of egg. This is how female reproductive organ works in reproduction. So one thing I discussed there also, I would like to discuss here also, because it is included in our syllabus. Very easy to understand. If you understand that egg is maturing in the ovary, it takes roughly 14 days, and egg is releasing in the fallopian tube. Why? Because we know that oviduct or fallopian tube is the site of fertilization. After fertilization, this egg is scrolling down here and attaching with the internal lining of uterus. So if egg, which is now called embryo, if it is attaching in the internal lining of uterus, what it requires a lot of nutrition, oxygen, antibodies and other chemicals also to grow. Because what is the function of female reproductive system? What is the role of uterus in the reproduction? To grow, to attach the baby and to help the baby to grow. So internal lining of uterus increases its blood supply when? Before fertilization. Okay, so when this egg is maturing here, the thickening of uterus or the blood supply of uterus is increasing. When egg goes there, here in fallopian tube, when it is fertilizing, when it is developing or having cell division, again the blood supply of uterus increasing. Why? Because we know that at the time of attachment of embryo with uterus, embryo need nutrition. And if you want to learn about the role of blood in our body, you can refer to your class 7th science chapter about circulation, okay, of fluids. So blood is doing so many things. Okay, so it will provide nutrition to the baby and in the form of food. It will provide oxygen to the baby. It will remove excretory material from the baby, and it will provide some immunity to the baby also, and it is doing so many things. So the uterus increases its lining. But in normal life, students, every female is not having a reproduction every month. So there we are not producing children every month. Okay, even if you talk about normal life, hardly one or two time a female is giving birth to a child in her lifetime. So in normal situation, if you talk about adolescent age, okay, if you talk about teenage, so when sexual maturity approaches, these type of changes occurs in our body. We know both outside changes and inside changes also in our body. So this type of things are going to happen in after puberty or in adolescent age also. But we all know that okay, fertilization is not going to happen, reproduction is not going to happen. So what will happen? Simply this egg will not fertilize. If this egg will not fertilize, it will be degraded automatically in our body. Okay, if egg is degraded, if it is not fertilized, it will not implant to the internal wall of the uterus. Then this increased blood supply in the uterus, or thickening in the form of blood supply in uterus, is not required, no longer required. So this thickening, this no longer required thickening, comes out from the body in 1, 2 or 3 days from our body, this extra supply, and this uterus becomes again thin and ready for the another reproductive cycle. So this coming out of blood from our body, which is extra, which is not required in our body, this is called menstruation, and this complete cycle is called menstruation cycle. Okay, the cyclic changes in ovarian cycle, cyclic changes in uterine cycle, all together they are called menstruation cycle. So it is a big cycle composed of 28 days or nearly 1 month. Okay. So every month this process repeats. So menstruation is also a sign of adolescence, or in having the initiation of the sexual maturity, not completion of the sexual maturity. Okay, so this is also a secondary sexual character you can see, because we can observe physically. So what point I wanted to highlight here are menarche and menopause. Okay, what do you mean by menarche and menopause? Let me see. Okay, here you can see these two terms, menarche and menopause. So let's read what Paheli is saying. Paheli says that the reproductive life of a woman lasts from menarche to menopause. Is she right? So first we must learn what do you mean by these terms, menarche and menopause. Very simple. See, at the time of puberty, what do you mean by puberty? Initiation of sexual maturity. Okay, in class 6, 7th or 8th. Okay, in the age of 11 year, 12 year or 13 year or 14 years of age. Okay, again what I was saying, that the appearance of secondary sexual characters may vary from 11 year to 19 years. So we may not worry if they appear early, and we also must not worry if they appear late. Okay, any type of changes. So the first onset of menstruation, or the time of puberty when secondary sexual characters begin to appear, that time is called menarche. Okay, so the starting of menstruation cycle is called menarche. Okay, it may be in 12 years, 13 years or 14 years in the girls. Then when these girls become mature, okay, 20 years of age, 30 years of age, 40 years of age or 50 years of age, so at around 45 or 50, or simply we can say from 40 years to 50 years of age, this cycle closes also. Okay, after certain point of time, for example let's say 45 years, so after 45 years of age in some females this cycle stops. In some females it stops in 44 years, 43 years, 49 years. I think you all understand. So this initiation and stop, okay, the start of menstrual cycle is called menarche, and stop of menstrual cycle is called menopause. So if females reproductive cycle lasts, or reproductive period, so we can say okay, any lady or girl is their reproductive age is from menarche to menopause, that it will be true. Okay, so my Paheli is right. So this, because of this point, I included this diagram here for better understanding, and I have discussed the same point in my previous chapter also, so you can refer my previous video also of chapter number 9. the reproduction in animals. Very simple to understand. Next thing, sex determination. So there are so many topics in this chapter. You can see the list of topics in the beginning slide. If you see my previous videos, there will be 2 or 3 or 4 topics. So here are 10 to 9 topics. So many topics, but interesting and easy to understand. Okay. So when it comes to sex of the child, so in our previous chapter we learned everything about how sperms are produced, eggs are produced, and how now we know how chemicals are controlling them, how hormones are controlling them, pituitary gland is controlling them. Now the zygote will become boy or girl. Very simple. See, zygote have, what is zygote, what is sperm, what is egg? They all are cells. So if we talk about zygote and our all body cells, they have 46 chromosomes. This thing you will learn in higher classes. We have 46 DNA molecules in the form of 46 chromosomes. Okay. And in all our body cells, in boys and girls, we have 44 similar chromosomes. So let's not talk about those 44 chromosomes. Let's talk about only 2 chromosomes, which are called X and Y. Okay. So sometimes zygote have X and Y chromosome, and other times zygote have X and X chromosome. Okay, plus 44. Total chromosomes are 46. You will learn in higher classes. Every cell is having 46 chromosomes. No need to worry. If any cell is having X and Y chromosome plus 44, it will be a boy's cell. And if any cell is having 2 X chromosomes apart from 44 chromosomes, it will be a girl's cell. Okay. So this is how you can know with one cell only, although it is microscopic, if you are able to learn about the chromosomal structure. And that is why some people can guess the sex of the child before birth, because at the time of development they are able to extract some cells from the body's fluid, because when a lady is pregnant, she is having baby plus some extra embryonic layers and some liquids to protect the body. So from that liquid some people can extract that fluid, and they can analyze in microscope and with other techniques that okay, it is having XX chromosome or XY chromosome. So that is actually illegal and banned in our country. This is called amniocentesis technique. Okay, you will learn more about this technique in class 11. So here what the point I want to mention is, with single cell only you can, so every cell of in our body of, if we talk about boys and girls, there is a difference. What is the difference? In the chromosomal structure. So how can we know that zygote is having XY chromosome or XX chromosome? I am sure that I am clear that if XX condition is there, it will be a girl. If XY condition is there, it will be a boy. Okay, very simple. All eggs produced in the ovary in female reproductive system, all eggs produced by female having only one X chromosome, because as I have said earlier, sperms and eggs have half number of chromosome if compared with normal body cells. So actually they have 23 chromosomes in egg, 23 chromosome in sperm, and that makes sense because at the time of fusion, we know what do you mean by fertilization? Fusion of male and female gamete, fusion of sperm and egg. So after fusion, the nuclei, 2 nuclei, one from sperm, one from egg, will fuse and they will make single nucleus of zygote, and that will have 46 chromosomes. That makes sense. And then zygote will divide and divide and divide, and in this way the embryo formed from that zygote, the child formed from that embryo, will have 46 chromosomes in each and every cell of its body. I think I am clear. You can rewind this video if you are feeling any difficulty in understanding this concept, because this is very important concept in your biology. So it will help you in class 9th and 10th, plus if you opt for biology, it will definitely help you in class 11th and 12th. So as I was mentioning that all eggs are having X chromosome. So there is a difference in sperms. So we human males have 2 types of sperms in our testicles. Some sperms are having X chromosome, some sperms are having Y chromosome. Not only X and Y, 22 plus X, 22 plus Y, because as I have said, 44 plus XY for normal body cells, 22 plus X for all X, 23 plus X for one type of sperm, 23 plus X for another type of sperm. So although a boy or a male have millions or billions of sperms, okay, thousands of sperms, but half of them will have X chromosome, half of them will have Y chromosome along with 22 chromosome. So very simple concept to understand. If a sperm having Y chromosome fertilizes an egg, it will become a boy. If a sperm having X chromosome fertilizes an egg with X, it will become a girl. I think it is very simple to understand. XY, XX, XX, girl, XY, boy. So easily you can understand that the sex of the child is determined by the father. So father is responsible for birth of boy or girl. If we want to know who is responsible, otherwise no is responsible, because these all events are microscopic at molecular level. We cannot see those events, we cannot control those events. So any man cannot control that, okay, he must produce Y containing sperms or X containing sperms. Okay, a man or a boy have mixture of sperms having both X and Y, and at the time of reproduction also nobody can know which sperm is going to fertilize the egg, because they are microscopic. So actually nobody is responsible. But if there is any debate, and if you want to know, okay, who is actually responsible for the sex of child, okay, you can say theoretically that, okay, father or the male parent is responsible for the child of sex of child, because actually these things seems very simple to understand. But in ancient historical times, in our Indian and the rest of the countries also, you will see, if you are studying social science also, I am sure that you have read about some topics, that there was a harassment or for against girls or females. Okay, so at a certain point of time, people didn't wanted female child. That is why I was mentioning now that by having some cells of embryo, doctors can know whether the child is going to become male or female. But it is banned or illegal in India. Why? Because the countries like India, if some parents do not like female child, what they will do? If they know, okay, this embryo is going to become a girl, they can kill the embryo with the help of some surgical methods. So that will be illegal and unethical also. Okay, so same reason. Okay, why anybody want to kill their own child if it is going to become a female? Very simple to understand, because of some reasons, because of some disadvantages for girls in the society. I am sure that you are all are aware about these type of things. Rural areas or backward areas, or not rural, you will see this type of thinking. Urban areas also, depends on the mentality of the parents or the people or their society surroundings. Okay, so in short, nobody is responsible for the sex of child. But if you want to blame, then you can blame your father or the male parent. But previously, as I was mentioned, in ancient times or historical times, many females were blamed and they were killed also because of that reason. If some queen, I do not remember the exact, but Louis IV in history, I think at that time one queen was killed because she was giving birth to female childs publicly. So at that time they are not only blaming the female parent or mother, but they are also harassing or punishing the mother for no reason. Okay. So these things happens when there is a lack of knowledge. That is why these type of chapters included in your syllabus. You can see the cells, chapter number 8, chapter number 9, reproduction, and this chapter number 10, adolescence. They have lot of knowledge of of our body, and these changes and this knowledge actually impacts our society. So I am sure that you all have understood how the sex of a child is decided. Next thing, okay, this thing we have already discussed about the endocrine glands and the secretions. Okay, and you need not to worry about this overwhelming information, because there are so many topics involved in this chapter. But we need to have an elementary idea, and you need to remember some names and some hormones. So along with your NCERT, if you refer video plus you stick to your NCERT, and by practice you will be able to complete your syllabus. Okay, final thing. Okay, these two diagrams I included from class 11th biology. Okay. So they are not relevant for you. I included only for discussion point of view. This type of box is given in your NCERT class 8th textbook. Very simple. As I have said, these hormones are chemical messengers. Okay, these are some chemicals which convey message from one cell to another cell, from one body part to another body part. Very simple notion. So how they will convey message? Again, chapter number 8, cell structure and function, comes into the picture. Okay, again, if you want to learn more about cells, you can refer to my previous video of chapter number 8 also, that is available in the link in the description below or in the playlist of class 8 science. Okay, cells are the very basic point in biology. Okay. So if you want to learn anything in biology, not only in class 8 but in class 9, 10, 11, 12 also, you must refer to cells. Okay, you must be knowing all the facts about cells, then you will be able to understand all the biological processes. So very simple. Let me draw a very simple oversimplified cell. Okay. So this is a cell having a nucleus if we are talking about human cell or a eukaryotic cell. So if we take only this part and we enlarge that part, it will appear like this. Okay, so this is nothing but a membrane. Okay, we have this type of membrane in our cell. This is, what is this? Cell membrane. What is this? Nucleus. What is this? DNA we are discussing. Okay, that is why I included these diagrams from class 11th biology. So you can see this chemical, this green one and this blue one, these are some chemicals. What are these chemicals? These are hormones. Okay, so hormone is coming from where? From blood stream, because we know endocrine glands make hormones and they dump that hormone into blood stream, and from blood stream that hormone will go to the target organ and it will approaches to the cell, or actually the cell membrane, and very simple, it starts some biochemical process in the cell. Okay, at this point of time you need not to worry about the process. Okay, so some hormones can enter in the cell, some hormones cannot enter in the cell. It depends, they are hydrophobic or hydrophilic. You will learn more about hydrophilic and hydrophobic in upcoming classes. Hydrophilic means water loving, which can dissolve in water. Hydrophobic is water hating. For example, fat, ghee and tail, ghee and oil, they are hydrophobic, and rest of the things which can dissolve in water, they are hydrophilic. So here you can see hormone which is called estrogen. Estrogen, you know what is estrogen? The female hormone produced from ovary and which is responsible secondary sexual characters. So it is hydrophobic actually, it is fat soluble, so it can go inside the cell. And if we talk about insulin or other hormones, for example here the example is FSH. Okay, again you need not to be worried about the name. FSH is one hormone secreted from pituitary gland, which is the master gland. So these hormones resides on the surface of the cell. So some hormones resides on the surface of the cell, some hormones go inside the cell. What they do? Actually they start some biochemical process, they start some changes in the chemicals, and because of those changes cells modify and ultimately tissues, organs and our body modify. Okay, this is how these hormones act. So let's focus on the text which is given in our NCERT class 8 science. Hormones from pituitary stimulates testicle and ovaries to release testosterone in males and estrogen in female, released in the blood stream and reach parts of the body, the target site, stimulate changes in the body at the onset of puberty. Are you getting at this point? See, as I have mentioned that pituitary gland is the master gland, it will release some hormones. Those hormones will go in the blood stream and they will reach to every part of the body, but only ovaries and testicles will respond this chemical. Okay, how they will respond these chemicals? See, at the time of puberty our brain knows somehow. Okay, one organ is there in our brain, which is called hypothalamus. So our brain knows our body condition. According to our body condition, when we are 12 years of age, 13 years of age or 14 years of age, this pituitary gland will secrete more hormones. Which type of hormones? They are called LH and FSH hormones. You will learn in upcoming classes. Those hormones will go to the target organs, testicles in males and ovaries in females, and in response to that these ovaries and testicles will produce their hormones. Which hormones? Testosterone in males, estrogen and progesterone in females, and that will lead to the sexual maturity or changes in your body. How they will initiate changes in your body? Because they will go to the body cells and body cells will change. Okay, body cells will change. This is how. Okay, very very simple to understand. Okay, no need to be overwhelmed by the information. But this thing is the NCERT makers included this box because so that you can have an elementary or primary idea how these hormones work, how these chemicals work from one gland to the another gland, from another gland to the target organ, and they stimulate some changes. Okay. You will learn more about these changes in class 11. Next thing, when I talked about thyroid gland, I have mentioned that transformation or metamorphosis in frog, from egg to tadpole, early tadpole, late tadpole to adult, happens because of the involvement of thyroxine hormone. So actually hormones are responsible for the changes in animals also, which is metamorphosis. So these changes we have discussed in chapter number 9, reproduction. Metamorphosis in frog, and I am sure that you are aware about metamorphosis in silkworm. We have learnt in class 7 science, fibers and fabrics. So you can see changes from larva to egg to caterpillar to pupa and to adult. There are some spectacular changes. So these spectacular changes, because of these spectacular changes, these caterpillars or larvae need more nutrition, and that is why while rearing of silkworm we give them healthy leaves. You can learn more about these fibers and fabrics in class 7th science, chapter number 3, and you can check out my playlist also for those videos. That is why I include this diagram, although there is no relevance of this diagram in this chapter, but this topic I have discussed in chapter number 9 in reproduction. There was a separate topic of metamorphosis in frog. So no matter the changes are there in an insect or they are in frog, they all are called metamorphosis, and some hormones are responsible for that. Finally, reproductive health. So as we all know, as we have discussed so many things about puberty and adolescence, now I am sure that we all know that there are so many bodily changes in our body. So we must be aware about our body. So we must eat nutritious food, plus we must take care about our personal health and hygiene, plus emotional health and hygiene also. So we must surround with the people which are beneficial for us, for our growth, for our intellectual growth. For example, teachers, parents, and some reliable friends, and of course books are the best friend of you. So these are some things we need to take care about. Balanced diet, personal hygiene, and physical exercise. I think these things are very familiar to you. You are all in class 8 already. And say no to drugs. Although this topic may not be seem very familiar to you, but it is a problem for youth in after 19 years age, or in some metro cities for class 11, 12 also. So we all know that what are drugs? Drugs are simply medicines which we take when we are ill, and we take for very short period of time, and they have some effects in our body. I am sure that if you all have taken some type of medicine in your lifetime, sometimes medicines have some hallucinogen effects. For example, some type of sleeping effects, or having losing your sense effect. So some people love those effects and they take those medicines unnecessarily or illegally. That will adversely affect their bodies. So we must say no to drugs. I am sure that you are all are aware about this topic, because that topic is much discussed in our society also. Small introduction is there in our textbook. And here you can see the balanced diet. So balanced diet must be very simple. It must not be packaged food. It must not come from the shop. If it is prepared and cooked at home, dairy products, protein rich diet, green vegetables, fruits and whole grains. These type of, I think we all are aware what is good for us when it comes to nutrition, which is not good for us, because in our Kendriya Vidyalayas from primary classes we also have food charts. So our teachers are actually training us from our primary classes that which type of food is good for us. But simply we must say no to packaged food or fast food, or the food which is being prepared in streets. Simply we must take nutritive food, because at the time of adolescence, again from class 6 to 12, we need more nutrition, because our body is undergoing so many changes, physically, mentally, emotionally. We need nutrition and physical exercise, and personal hygiene we must take care about. And here you can see in our school and in many schools we have health camps every year or every 6 months, so that we can identify the problems in children if they have some nutritional deficiency, or we can guide them. If they have some doubts, the experts can guide them, or they can suggest them, although we are all having best according to us, so we are having best food, we are having best exercise or best hygienic method, but if there are some doubts, we can solve those doubts by talking with, having discussion with experts. And the final thing, AIDS. Why this disease included in this chapter? Because AIDS is a disease which is deadly, acquired immune deficiency syndrome. AIDS, I am sure that you all have heard this disease, and the virus which caused this disease is called human immune deficiency virus, which is called HIV. Okay, so the virus is HIV and the disease is AIDS. Okay, nowadays we all are aware about virus because of this corona pandemic. So there is another virus which is called human immune deficiency virus, which is called HIV, which causes a disease which is called AIDS. But it is a special type of virus which do not spread by social relations. Okay, by shaking hands, using towels, okay, by talking, by eating food together. But all nowadays we have come to know about the coronavirus, which also spreads by the social means also. So previously, when this type of pandemics were not there, people were afraid from HIV or AIDS patients, and they were isolated because of the deadliness of the disease. It affects our immune system, and it spreads by very special means when there is a transfer of liquids or fluids between two people. It happens from mother to child, we can know, when during breastfeeding or during the pregnancy or childbirth. It happens when we have some injury. It happens when we have some medicines with syringe, or that is why it was said that say no to drugs. Some people take illegal drugs with the help of syringe. Okay, plus sometimes when we need blood, okay, blood transfusion cases, when we meet some accidents and people need blood. Okay, so and sexual act also during reproduction. So there are certain ways by which this disease can be spread. Very small and brief introduction is there in your text. So AIDS spread due to sexual contact, sharing syringes used for injecting drugs from mother to child, and from transfusion of blood. So I think we all can avoid this. For how we can avoid? Because by transfusion of blood, if you go to a good clinic or a good hospital, the doctors and nurses know how to deal with that. So they always use new syringes, okay. And during the blood transfusion, they check for authenticity of the material or of the authenticity of the blood. Okay, so there will be very less concern about transfusion of fluid, or if we, that is why it was said that say no to drugs. So when we share syringes carelessly, when there is no check, so when it comes to medical facilities or clinics, there is a cross check of syringes for everything. Okay, they will take care of that. So we must not use syringes without prescription. And sexual contact, if you know why we need sexual contact during the sexual reproduction. So if anybody knows his sexual partner that he or she is having any disease or not, simply they can avoid the disease. So sexual contact may be harmful when you do not know your sexual partner, because if somebody is having AIDS or not, you cannot know without simply at looking at people, you cannot know that they are having AIDS or not. Okay, because we need some blood test for knowing whether one is having HIV or not. So we must avoid sexual contact with strangers. So these are, I think that only small introduction is there. AIDS is a deadly disease and how it spreads. Okay, and these are some banners. I am sure that you have seen some of these banners in your school and in the newspaper or news. Okay, because it is very famous disease, and these type of banners and posters we see everywhere. And this is the symbol for HIV/AIDS. So this symbol those people use who works for HIV/AIDS. Work for HIV/AIDS means they spread awareness, or they distribute medicines. Okay, if they do some good work for AIDS, they use this symbol. And this is the structure of the virus. Okay, although it is not necessary to learn about the structure, but if you want, I have included this picture also. So with these points, I concluded this chapter. And in your NCERT, we have very good thing what you have learned. So this segment includes all the summary of the chapter. Very good thing in your NCERT. You will find this summary in your NCERT also. So you can take a screenshot also if you don't want to open that book. So this is how we covered or concluded all the chapters, but very briefly. Okay, you will learn more about all these topics in our upcoming classes in class 9 science and 10 science, and if you opt for biology, then 11th biology and 12th biology also. So thank you so much you all for being till end and listening the complete chapter. And I, Dr. Kailash Meena, again will try to make my next video on class 8 science chapter number 11, which is force and pressure. Till then, take care and bye.